Module 4, Lesson 12's objective is to solve word problems involving area. Item 1. A square calendar has sides that are 9 inches long. What is the calendar's area? Let's underline the important details. Square calendar, sides 9 inches long. Let's highlight the question. What is the calendar's area? If you don't have a highlighter, you could use a yellow crayon or circle the question. Highlighting the question reminds us to go back to the question and answer it at the end. All right, square calendar. If I'm going to draw a square calendar, I need to remember that the word square means each side of the calendar is the same length. So this side is the same as this side, which is the same as this side, which is the same as this side. Now, we know that it says the sides are 9 inches long. So I'm going to write 9 inches, and I'm going to abbreviate inches that way. And I'll put it up here as well. In order to determine the area, we've already learned that we multiply one side length by the other side length. In this case, we'll multiply 9 inches times 9 inches. 9 times 9 is the same thing as saying 9 groups of 9, or I could count up using my skip counting method by 9s 9 times in order to get the answer. I'm going to leave the method that you use to solve 9 times 9 up to you. And then I'm going to have you write that number here, and then write square like this with an SQ, and then inches. Now, because it's a word problem, we need to answer the word problem in a sentence. What is the calendar's area? The calendar's area is blank square inches. Period. Remember, with word problems, we read, underline the important details, highlight or circle the question. Then we draw out the answer using a picture and or equations. And then we answer the question by writing a sentence. Remember, when you write a sentence, it needs to start with a capital and end with a punctuation mark. Read, draw, write. That's the process for solving a word problem. Let's look at item 2 now. Item 2 says, each square is 1 square unit. Sienna uses the same square units to draw a 6 by 2 rectangle and says that it has the same area as the rectangle below. Is she correct? Explain why or why not. Okay, let's take a look at the important details. Each square is 1 square unit. Uses the same square units to draw a 6 by 2 rectangle. Says that it has the same area as the rectangle below. Now I will highlight the question. Is she correct? And underline the important details also of explaining why or why not. In order to solve this problem, I think I'll go ahead and try to figure out what the area of the rectangle shown is. Looking at the drawing, I see that there are 4 rows and 3 columns. In order to figure out what the area of that is, we're going to multiply 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is the same thing as 4 groups of 3. 1 group of 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups. And I could put 3 in each item. And that gives me 3, 6, 9, 12. So 4 times 3 is 12. So this one here has an area of 12 square units. Now let's go ahead and draw a 6 by 2 rectangle to see what its area is. I'll use a different color for that. 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows. By 2 columns. So there's 6 rows and 2 columns. I know that 6 rows and 2 columns can be written as an equation like this, 6 times 2. If you don't know what 6 times 2 is, you can skip count. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 6 times 2, or 6 groups of 2, is 12. So the area is 12 square units. The question is she correct? Do both rectangles have the same area? As you can see by my drawing and the multiplication equations that are shown here, they both have 12 square units for the area. So is she correct? Yes. Sienna is correct. Don't stop there because it says to explain why or why not. So we have to put because 4 times 3 equals 12 and 6 times 2 equals 12. Both have an area of 12 square units. Okay, I've used the same process as I mentioned before. I've read, drawn, and written my answer. Now let's look at item 3. The surface of an office desk has an area of 15 square feet. Its length is 5 feet. How wide is the office desk? Let's go ahead and underline the important details. Office desk, area 15 square feet. Length is 5 feet. Now we'll highlight the question. How wide is the office desk? For me, it's easier to solve this problem if I draw a picture. I'll draw a rectangle to represent the office desk. I'll label the area as 15 square feet. FT stands for feet. It says that the length is 5 feet. So I'll label that here. And it's asking how wide is the office desk. That will go here. Now let's go ahead and use an equation to help solve this problem. We know that if we multiply the two side lengths together, we get the area. So we'll multiply this unknown side length times 5 feet, because that number was already given, and that equals 15 square feet. We know that the opposite of multiplication is division. So in order to solve this problem, I think I will work backwards and do the opposite. So I'll take the 15 square feet and I'll divide it by the 5 feet, and that'll give me my answer in feet. So what is 15 divided by 5? That means if you have 5 groups and you take those 15 items and you divide them equally amongst those 5 groups, how many will be in each group? Let me draw a picture to show you what I'm talking about. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups. Now I have 15 items. Let's go ahead and divide that into those equally into 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, I've taken the number 15, I've divided it equally into 5 groups. That means by looking at the picture, I can see that each group gets 3 feet. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, which means that the unknown side length is 3 feet, which I will label now. Because it's a word problem, we have to answer in a sentence. How wide is the office desk? The office desk is 3 feet wide. Remember, we always read, draw, and write to solve these problems. Did you remember to capitalize your answer at the beginning of the sentence? Did you remember to put a punctuation mark at the end of the sentence? And if you didn't have enough room to solve on your paper, did you put it on scratch paper and staple it to your homework sheet so your teacher can see how you solved this problem? I hope you did.